Good morning, candidate.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm very well. You're through here in Stirling to file your papers to be the fourth Endrick candidate for Scottish Labour at the by-election. And I'd just like to say congratulations and thank you for putting your name forward once again to represent your community.
I think we've always found in West Stirlingshire, as in many of the other places, you need to have a local candidate if you can, and someone who can lend their name and their past experience and knowledge of the situation to encourage people out to vote. And I feel this is a thing I can contribute just at the present time, and I'm doing it.
Well, I think you'd be a phenomenal councillor for Fourth and Endrick, and I'm not just saying that because I think you will be. It's because your record of being one in the past is remarkable. I want to run through some of your highlights because I know you might be a little bit too modest to do it. You've been a councillor for Fourth and Endrick from 1999 to 2012. You were the provost from 2003 to 2007. You've been a board member of Stirling Rural Housing. You've been the deputy convener of the National Park, of Mugdock Park. You're a church elder. You're a Rotarian. You've been a head teacher. You've lived in Drimmen for nearly 40 years. You and your wife Elspeth have played a remarkable role in your community. I mean, you sort of embody what it means to be a community champion because you've done it for so long.
Well, that's kind of you to say, but of course I've done these things because I want to do them and I seem able to do them and I've had the opportunity. Yes, I spent 20 years as a high school head teacher and I could have continued to do that, but an opportunity came in 1999 to do something different, and I took a chance and thoroughly enjoyed it and felt I contributed at that time. The last spell of things I've been doing would be Deputy Lieutenant in the Lieutenancy in Stirling and Falkirk, and that's been equally rewarding. So there are all kinds of ways that everyone can find a way to contribute to the community and be involved in public service.
Let's go through some of the issues that are likely to come up in this campaign. Roads are always a big issue in West Stirlingshire. What do you think we need to do for
Well, we need to get back to a simpler system of carrying out repairs quickly when there need to be repaired. I mean, some of the roads in West Stirlingshire and elsewhere, when you see them also, are in a shocking state. Huge potholes that you just can't avoid. And we used to at one time. I remember going out into the countryside with a road mender machine that we had about the year 2000 to try to experiment to find new ways of quickly dealing with these situations. And I think we need to get back to something like that again. Enough money in the budget to be able to be very responsive and not just to patch all the time, but it's a priority for people. It really is. And when the weather's bad, some roads are impassable.
What about, you're from Drimmen, you've got Balmaha just up the road, you see what it's like in the summer. It's a beautiful part of the world, you've got a lot of visitors. Traffic could be managed better?
Traffic could certainly be managed better. Way back in the 1980s when we went to live in Drimmen, traffic was bad. And the police used to close the road then. This summer they had to close it again a number of times because too many people were coming up the lochside. Yes, people need access to the countryside. There's a whole new scheme this year actually, which the council's involved in, the National Park, the police, the Friends of Loch Lomond and Trossachs, to try to introduce more parking, more toilets, and something like 40 extra wardens to manage the public invading the national park, if you like, but coming to the national park because it's their park, it's a national park, and it's there to enjoy. Balmaha has a bottleneck, so is Brigger Turk, so is Loch Catrin car park, but there are schemes in place and we play a big part in that, and I support that totally.
What about housing? You've been on the board of rural housing in Stirling for a number of years. You understand what is required. So where are you in housing?
Well, I believe that things don't stand still, that our rural villages need new life from time to time in a modest way. I'm not against development, but it has to be small developments, I feel, to keep a village character, because that's what makes people want to be there. Rural Stirling have done a fantastic job over the years. I was a board member there for 15 years until last year, and we've added houses in almost every village in West and North Stirlingshire, and that's been really important. But every village, every area has a waiting list still, both for council housing and for the housing association's housing. These are people who work in the area or have grown up in the area, who are living in substandard accommodation or vastly inflated private rented accommodation, and we've still got a great need to meet there. before we can move further forward. So we have to keep the process going.
What about community engagement? I know that's another important thing to you. You've looked at that all your life, but you know there's a lot of great things happening in the communities in Forth and Endrick, and I think as an MSP candidate, I really want to help empower local communities to do more, but I know that's something we agree on.
Yeah, I served as a local community councillor before I became a Stirling councillor. Yeah, and that's where you learn your community trade, and I supported the growth of trusts, village trusts, when I was a councillor, because we need to get more money into communities and give communities the power to decide what they're doing with this resource. Communities have great ideas. I mean, we've got great examples just now, actually. The G63 hub project in West Stirlingshire, community gardens in a number of villages and in the Stirling town. You know one yourself. You've been totally involved in one of these. We've got examples of communities like Strathblane looking to find a way of providing a better community resource that incorporates a library service. And there's no reason why communities shouldn't be empowered to carry out more work themselves.
Well, I know you're going to have to go to fill your papers in about 5 minutes, so I better let you go because we don't want to upset the office up there. A nice bunch up at the elections office. I just want to say good luck. I want to sit and say that having known you for a good number of years, both in the Labour Party and we served with the Stirling Smith together as trustees when you were the chair, I think you really are the real deal, Colin. And I'm going to say this, and you can just sit there and squirm for a minute. You've done this for years. You've got the track record to back up that you are a community champion. And I think people are going to be fascinated that you're back at this and back taking a run at it. But given how much of an issue we have with local authority funding at the moment, I think your experience will be great on the council. But more than that, we're coming out of a pandemic, Colin, and you know we need a national recovery. We can't go back to the old arguments that have defined our politics for far too long. And I think the thing that you and I will do, apart from saying hello to Wallace, who's jumped up here, is we'll focus on what unites us, not what divides us, and we will focus on what our communities need to get back on their feet after what's been a pretty horrendous year for everybody.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, basically what I'm offering is my experience and knowledge of how things happen and how things can happen. And my experience as a councillor was that I was able to attract votes from more than just traditional Labour voters who saw me as somebody who was able to, fight's a dreadful word to use, isn't it, but to work for our communities. And I hope that happens again. And I do appeal to people across the spectrum to put their trust in me that I'll do my very best for everyone. And I wish you all the best too, Mr. MSP candidate, because equally you've got support, I know, from people across the spectrum who want a sensible person who doesn't just look from issue to issue to be their candidate and to be their MSP. So best of luck, Chris.
Best of luck to you too. We're hearing both votes Labour, but in Forth and Endrick it's all votes Labour. It's 3 votes
Three
Labour.
votes Labour.
But both votes Labour, the rest of the constituency, and 3 votes Labour in Forth and Endrick. Colin, we'll speak more, but for now, good luck, and let's set the campaign show.
Right, thanks very much.